Hey everyone, it is currently 9:20 or no 11:26 Friday night. Futures market is closed for the weekend, and I just wanted to do a recap of the market this week, what I think, address some of my trend lines, go through my trades this week. I only had one trade this week, which was a win. Fairly happy with it. Could be better, could be worse. But yeah, I'll just start by updating my trend lines, go through what I was thinking when I entered the positions, how I draw them, all that type of stuff, things I'm looking for in the upcoming week with current market conditions, especially with Trump and Powell. That is like a big thing affecting the futures market right now, gold especially, platinum breaking all-time highs, oil in consolidation, copper having a 14 to 15% move the other week after 50% tariffs. There is a lot of stuff happening, and I just want to take a second, recap my trend lines, and create a good setup for you guys next week. We'll just start on oil. Not much happening in oil this week. My trend lines haven't really changed much. I used to have a trend line like this right here, but I entered on this break, exited down here, and now I am just waiting. I'm not in any position right now. I should have entered long here, or when this trend line was broken right here, but still happy with. I had a gain on oil this week. We're seeing a new resistance being formed in this area right here. So I'm gonna mark up that resistance at 67.5. Not surprised by that. We can see some resistance up here, in this area right here, and down here as well, which not surprised as well, as it's consistent over here. So I'm going to also mark that up as well. This is very helpful for me because it allows me to decide when I want to enter and exit my trades. But nothing much happening here. We have some more support down here, but we have this very, very, very strong upward trend line here with two bounces. There was 5 before on this one right here. Then if we zoom even further out and switch to the 4-hour time frame, it's a little messy because of all the blue support and resistance, where we have this even steeper trend line going here all the way up here with a bounce all the way down here when oil hit its low of 51. But we also have this downward trend line from months prior, connecting to this current high of about 79 or 78. I forgot because the contract updated. But we have this linked to this, and that is my setup for next week. I'm going to go back to the 1 hour, but I am looking for either a bounce of this trend line to preferably somewhere around here so that I can draw a steeper one and then go in long on this position and have my stop all the way down here, or trade a trend line bounce, because I use trend lines to trade, but I have my own emotions about the market, and personally I feel like oil is bullish right now. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and I just think it's been slightly oversold recently. If we look down, it's down 18% over the year. There's bound to be a recovery sometime soon, and we saw with the Strait of Hamas, oil went up 7 or 8% in a day and went from 61 to about 78. So not surprised entirely if something does end up happening. But that is my plan for oil this week. I'm looking for a bounce off the support down here, bounce off support down here, preferably. This, I'd be happy entering along in here with my stop down on this trend line. But that's my trend lines for this week. Moving from oil to platinum, not much. Actually, there's a lot of stuff happening in platinum right now. Platinum just hit its 11-year high, which is absolutely crazy. So we had this older trend line, which was going back about a year, and I just kept on slowly moving it up, and platinum just decided to keep breaking out, and it did it again. The breakout wasn't as strong this time as we saw over here of about 2%. This breakout was just 1.5%, so still 1.8, still very good. I had a steeper trend line here, but I removed it because it wasn't 7 days, which is a big criteria for me. But we have two very strong trend lines here, Um, yeah, I need to update this. I don't know why my trend lines are weird. But we have this one, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points on this green trend line right here. So I'm going to be looking for that next week. And we have some new support and resistance being drawn here, with some support just being on this tip here, and some more support and resistance on this tip as well. So I'm going to add those because they're really good for me to see, just to see where price bounces and where price kind of moves between. Like it moved between this channel right here for a few days, or a few weeks actually, or 5 days or so, and it's just good to monitor that and make sure it's doing well. With platinum this week, I'm kind of bearish on platinum because I just think it's been overbought. Like it just hit its 11-year high. I think there is bound to be some pullback temporarily. So I'm looking for a low risk entry on platinum to short per my strategy if it breaks this trend line, but we will see. I might end up taking a long position if I really like the numbers. But honestly, I try not to read the news too much. I just trade off what I see on the charts because then I don't use my emotions and it doesn't impact me. So I'll be watching for a break of this lower trend line and maybe of this upward trend line. We will see. Hoping that it, like, I want to bounce here before I enter long again. But that is my plan for platinum this week. Just going to watch what happens. Platinum's been very volatile lately. Platinum's a macro, so like a full future, so risk is higher, profits are higher, and it's really important to just make sure the entries that you have are lower risk. Otherwise, you'll risk half your portfolio just on a single trade, which is not smart to do. Moving away from oil and platinum, another one of my favorite symbols to trade is copper. Copper had a big move the other week, which was very good. I missed the entry here, but which could have been very great, but it happened in seconds, so not too sad about it. But copper is forming a really, really, really nice upward trend line right here. As we can see, this was a safety line, and we have 2 downward trend lines here. Unfortunately, I did not enter on the trendline break right here. I should have. This is very, very, very low risk trade, and it did end up pushing up to the upside. So this trade would have had probably like a 1 to 3 risk reward if you kept on holding per strategy, which is really good reward. That's the one thing that works really great about futures is the risk to reward is fairly good, and we can see it right here. There's another upward trend line I'm kind of watching right here. But copper has been very interesting for me, and I'm just kind of letting it get out of this consolidation phase before I truly enter a position on copper, because after a big move of we see 14.5% an hour, it's really important to just take a second and move back and wait for the market to settle. And even after that big move, we saw consistent like 1.5%, 2%, 3% candles for an hour, which is pretty absurd. So it's important to take a second and just relax, and like you're not going to miss a trade if you don't take it. There are plenty of more trades and take, and so it's really important to just take a second. Moving to gold for the week. Gold is very popular. I've traded gold a few times. I had a very good trade on gold over here. I got out a little early, but we'll do some trade recaps later. But we have a bunch of new trend lines. I'm deleting this one now because it's not important anymore, but we have this trend line right here. Hopefully I'm going to draw a new trend line because I now have another bounce, so I'm going to monitor that one. Gets 3 touch point is good, but kind of gold's also moving within this consolidation channel, and it's slowly moving upwards. As we can see from the past few weeks, we've had a bounce down here, bounce here, bounce here. So it is moving upward in the 4-hour and 1-hour channel, but price is still consistently just consolidating, and so I'm looking for really good entries here and that are low risk and that I'm comfortable taking. Silver recently just hit all-time highs last week, and so there is a lot of talk about silver specifically. Unfortunately, I had a few bad trades on silver the other day. I entered a short down here and I got out here because there was a break of an upward trend line, which I was very happy about entering. Wasn't the strongest, so you live, you learn. But we can see there's a very, very, very strong trend line forming here with a 1 down there, 2, 3 touch point trend line, and then we have another 1, 2, 3 touch point trend lines. So there is a possible silver short coming up if the entry criteria looks well and it's lower risk. But we saw that silver had a break of this trend line early in the week, last week, shot all the way up to all-time highs, which this is an insane run of about 6% in 3 days, which is just absurd, which is crazy. Like, I don't know, it's crazy. So I have another downward trend line, which I am watching. I'm kind of, like I said, I mainly trade 3 touch point trend line break, and for me it's really important to wait for the right entries before entering a position. But the markets were very volatile this week. I had a few missed trades. I was sleeping through one of them. And honestly, just a lot of them, I'm kind of a little bit more nervous taking trades because I do want to wait for the right ones. I've had a few unlucky trades recently. Unlucky, as I say, where I was risking 150 US. I got out for 300 US. So I've doubled my risk, unfortunately, because just how price went. But there's a lot of stuff happening this week. There's a lot of news happening this week, and it's going to be really cool to kind of see what happens and just monitor it. And I'll keep you guys updated on my trades just because I do want to let you know when I exit. I won't tell you right away because I do have to edit videos, but to me it's really important to keep updated. Moving into the analysis of profit and loss for the week and all that stuff. Current profit and loss for the week was $148.38. Not much, but I will definitely take it. If we view my oil trade, this was a very good trade on my part. I broke here and I got out down here as support. I could have held a little longer, but still very happy with this trade. I was risking 177 and I made 148, so a little bit less than 1-to-1, but still good. Sorry, I'm very tired. But I haven't journaled about this trade yet, but I will do that later today when I get up tomorrow. But we can see that running profit and loss was fairly good. Only ever being down about $30 at a time, and then consistently just pushing to the upside. And we see that here. My max profit I could have took was 171, and I took 153. So really good profit and loss here, and I'm very happy with this trade. It wasn't, I had very strong convictions about this trade, as I felt like oil had kind of moved up a little bit more too much than I wanted, and I kind of just wanted to see what would happen, and it was a very strong trend line break. As you can see here, I traded 3 contracts of micro crude oil futures, 153 ticks, 51 ticks per contract, $4 in commissions, 0.75% return, so not much, but the adjusted cost was $19,000 for the trade, which is fairly high. And I was in the trade for about 3 hours. I got in at 5 a.m. because I was awake. All my alerts went off. I set up alerts when I sleep, and they went off, and I had a sell order because I didn't want to miss it, and I got out at about 8 a.m. So exactly 8 a.m. Wow. So fairly happy with this trade. It worked out fairly well, and even we see here, this I need to reconsider because although I did exit, I exited at 64.73. Oh. Yeah, I think I did. I think I exited at support and resistance. A little bit. I could have held longer, but I will check that box anyways because I was very happy with this trade. It was like 4 stars in my book. I held long. I waited to see what would happen, and honestly, it was just a good trade. Going back to the dashboard, we can see the net profit and loss, my trade win. I took 1 trade this week, so I just had a trade on Wednesday for $148 gain. day win, profit and loss, Zella score, which is very cool. We see net profit and loss, and I currently have no open positions. But moving away from the filter, I've had a few pretty rough days recently. We've had consistently more losses. I'm not gonna have privacy on because I don't really care. Like, I want to be 100% transparent with this. This is my current profit and loss to date. We can see this is between two of my accounts. One account, I had some day trading positions. I had some Palantir puts that paid really well in April, and some calls that did really well, but I'm still just profiting off that account just from long-term positions. But we can see here that I currently, I think that's May 24th, I was up about $1,100, and just unfortunately over time, or June 24th, I was up $1,100 profit, 1,500, fairly good. And just I've had some very unlucky trades we've seen here. These were very horrendous days. I took a $470 loss on silver, which I shouldn't have even entered the trade. It was higher risk. So that is very unfortunate that I didn't close for profit then. And even here I had a short loss on copper, which was very unfortunate. We see here is $400 loss on copper. Even though I should have been long on copper, I don't know what I was really thinking. I didn't follow my strategy on that one, and it's really important to follow your strategy. We see here I had very good weeks of trades, not much profit. We have like $10 trades, we have $28 trades, we have, let's see, I think I had like a $5 trade. So I'm very open about this stuff. I'm just about consistent. Like, this was my first month trading futures. I had some small losses at the beginning, and like a $4.26 trade. I was pretty crazy, but I just want to be as open as I want to about this. Like, I had pretty rough days closing out June, to pretty unlucky trades on gold, and a few, like this one loss on silver, which should have been $100 loss, but price shot below my stop loss and got me out, unfortunately. But current month, it's been a little rough, but I'm looking on the upside. I'm refining my strategy. I'm working really well mentally about holding positions longer, and it's just been this is currently just the week it's been a pretty good week for me. $148 gain, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things, but if I can consistently do this every week, and consistently make profit, consistently follow my strategy, that's kind of what I'm really hopeful for, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But that's the analysis for the week. Hopefully this helped a little bit. Hopefully it gave you a little bit more insight into what I'm looking for next week, what trades I have in mind, what things are kind of like on my mind when I go to bed and in the morning, and what I'm constantly checking for, and what TradeZella is like, and how I like log all my trades, and just like where I'm at with futures trading so far. It's been really cool to see. I've had some good wins, some good losses, some really great learning opportunities, and it's just been really fun, and I'm excited to document with all of you on this journey. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Please subscribe and like if you like this. Thank you.